The photo album was filled with memories that felt like looking through someone else's window. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, first days of school, all featuring a little girl whose face had become foreign to her. But when Ellen asked Eleanor Williams to tell her about her granddaughter, her answer broke hearts across the studio. "I don't remember who she is." Eleanor Williams, 68, sat in the interview chair with the careful composure of someone who had learned to navigate a world where familiar faces had become strangers. For 6 months, she had been pretending to recognize her beloved granddaughter Lily, nodding and smiling through conversations about school, friends, and memories that had vanished from her mind like smoke. The early stages of Alzheimer's disease had stolen her past while leaving her present painfully clear. The Ellen DeGeneres Show had invited Eleanor during their Grandparents' Day special to celebrate the bond between grandparents and grandchildren. Her story had touched producers, a devoted grandmother who had raised her granddaughter after her daughter's death, creating a special relationship that had lasted 12 years. They were known in their community as an inseparable pair who did everything together. What Ellen's producers didn't know was that Eleanor had been living with devastating loss for months. The woman who had been Lily's primary caregiver, confidant, and best friend could no longer remember why this beautiful 12-year-old child visited her every week, hugged her with such familiarity, and called her Grandma Ellie with such love. Eleanor had been performing recognition, faking memories, and breaking her own heart to protect Lily from the truth. The forgetting had begun slowly, with misplaced names and forgotten appointments. Eleanor had initially dismissed it as normal aging, but when she began not recognizing longtime neighbors and struggling to remember how to make Lily's favorite cookies, she knew something was seriously wrong. The diagnosis of early-stage Alzheimer's had come 3 months ago, confirming her worst fears and giving a name to the thief that was stealing her mind. "Eleanor," Ellen began warmly, "tell us about your relationship with Lily." Eleanor's hands twisted in her lap as she struggled to find words that wouldn't reveal her devastation. She's a wonderful child, very sweet." Ellen smiled encouragingly. "You two are very close, aren't you?" "People tell me we are," Eleanor said carefully. Ellen noticed the strange phrasing. "What do you mean people tell you?" Eleanor looked around the studio, at the cameras, at the audience expecting to hear about a beautiful grandmother-granddaughter bond. "Because I can't remember." The studio fell quiet. Ellen felt confusion wash over her. "What can't you remember?" "Her," Eleanor whispered. "I can't remember her. I don't know who she is." Ellen stared at Eleanor, trying to process what she was hearing. "Eleanor, are you saying you don't recognize your granddaughter?" "I haven't recognized her for 6 months," Eleanor said quietly. Ellen felt her chest tighten. "But she visits you every week." "And every week, I pretend to remember her," Eleanor replied, "because I can't bear to break her heart." Ellen realized the magnitude of Eleanor's sacrifice. "Eleanor, do you have Alzheimer's disease?" "Early stage," Eleanor confirmed. "The doctors say it will get worse." Ellen felt tears forming in her eyes. "How long have you been pretending?" "Since the day I realized I didn't know why she was calling me Grandma," Eleanor said. Ellen was struggling to imagine the emotional burden Eleanor was carrying. "What is that like?" "Heartbreaking," Eleanor said simply. "Every week, this beautiful child comes to see me, tells me about her life, asks me about memories I don't have." Ellen felt overwhelmed by Eleanor's situation. "How do you manage the conversations?" "I smile a lot," Eleanor said. "I ask her to tell me about things instead of expecting me to remember them. I've gotten good at nodding at the right times." Ellen realized Eleanor had developed survival strategies for her memory loss. "Does Lily suspect anything?" "Sometimes she looks at me strangely when I don't react to something I should remember," Eleanor said. "But she's 12. She trusts that Grandma knows what she's talking about." Ellen felt the weight of Eleanor's deception. "Why haven't you told her about your diagnosis?" "Because she's already lost her mother," Eleanor said, tears beginning to flow. "Her parents died in a car accident when she was 3. I raised her from then until last year when she went to live with her aunt." Ellen felt the complexity of Eleanor's situation deepening. "So you're not just her grandmother, you were her primary caregiver." For 9 years, I was her everything, Eleanor said. Her mother, her father, her best friend. Now I'm a stranger who pretends to remember bedtime stories I used to read her. Ellen realized the devastating impact of Eleanor's memory loss. What's the hardest part? When she tells me about things we did together, Eleanor said. Her face lights up with these memories that mean everything to her and nothing to me. Ellen felt her heart breaking. Can you give me an example? Last week she told me about the time we went camping and I taught her to catch fireflies, Eleanor said. She was so excited, describing every detail. I had no idea what she was talking about. Ellen was crying now. What did you do? I smiled and said, that was a wonderful day, wasn't it? Eleanor replied, because her happiness was more important than my honesty. Ellen realized Eleanor was sacrificing her own emotional needs for her granddaughter's well-being. Eleanor, that must be incredibly lonely. It is, Eleanor admitted. I'm losing my mind, and I'm losing it alone, because I can't bear to let her see me disappear. Ellen made a decision that felt both necessary and heartbreaking. Eleanor, Lily is here today. Eleanor's face went white. Ellen, please, she can't know. Not yet. She has a right to understand what's happening to you, Ellen said gently. She has a right to stay happy for as long as possible, Eleanor replied. Ellen gestured toward the wings. Lily, would you like to come out? Lily Chen, 12, bounded onto the stage with the energy and joy of a child who believed her grandmother was the most wonderful person in the world. She was carrying a handmade card and wearing a t-shirt that read, Grandma Ellie's Girl. Grandma, Lily said, rushing to hug Eleanor. I'm so excited to be on Ellen with you. Eleanor held her granddaughter, memorizing the feeling even though she couldn't remember why it should be familiar. Hello, sweetheart. Lily pulled back and looked at Eleanor with pure love. Are you nervous? You seem different. Eleanor's heart broke at Lily's perceptiveness. I'm fine, dear. Ellen watched this interaction with growing sadness. Lily, tell us about your grandmother. Lily beamed. She's the best grandma in the world. She raised me after my parents died, and she's taught me everything important. Eleanor smiled weakly, trying to look like she remembered being this child's teacher and caregiver. What kinds of things has she taught you? Ellen asked. How to braid my hair, how to make her famous chocolate chip cookies, how to be brave when I'm scared, Lily said proudly. Eleanor felt like she was hearing about someone else's life. That sounds lovely. Lily looked at Eleanor with slight confusion. Grandma, don't you remember teaching me to braid? You said my fingers were finally long enough. Eleanor panicked. Of course I remember. But Ellen could see the lie in Eleanor's eyes. Lily, I need to tell you something about your grandmother. What? Lily asked, still smiling. Ellen made one of the most difficult decisions of her hosting career. Your grandmother has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Lily's smile faded. What's that? It's a disease that affects memory, Ellen explained gently. It makes it hard for people to remember things that happened in the past. Lily looked at Eleanor with growing concern. Grandma, is that true? Eleanor couldn't maintain the pretense anymore. Yes, sweetheart, it's true. Is that why you've been acting different? Lily asked. Eleanor was surprised by Lily's awareness. You noticed? You don't tell the stories the same way anymore, Lily said quietly. And sometimes you look at me like you're trying to figure out who I am. Eleanor broke down completely. I'm so sorry, Lily. I don't remember being your grandmother. I don't remember raising you or teaching you things, or any of the memories you love. Lily stared at Eleanor as understanding dawned. You don't remember me? I don't remember you, Eleanor whispered, but I know you're important. I know you love me. I know I'm supposed to love you. Lily was crying now. But you do love me, right? I must, Eleanor said. Because every time you visit, even though I don't know who you are, you make me feel less alone. Ellen watched this heartbreaking exchange. Lily, how are you feeling? Scared, Lily said honestly. If Grandma doesn't remember me, am I going to forget her too? Eleanor found strength. she didn't know she had. "No, sweetheart, you're going to remember for both of us." "What do you mean?" "You're going to keep all our memories safe," Eleanor said. "You're going to tell me our stories, show me our pictures, help me understand who we used to be together." Lily wiped her tears. "But it won't be the same." "No," Eleanor said honestly. "It won't be the same, but maybe it can be something new." Ellen felt moved by Eleanor's courage. What would that look like? "Instead of pretending to remember," Eleanor said, "maybe you can help me learn about you all over again." Lily looked at Eleanor with new understanding. "Like meeting for the first time?" "Like meeting for the first time, but with 12 years of love already between us," Eleanor said. Ellen realized this could be a beginning instead of just an ending. "Lily, would you like to tell your grandmother about yourself?" Lily nodded, understanding the assignment. "Hi, Grandma, my name is Lily Chen. I'm 12 years old, and you've been the most important person in my life." Eleanor smiled genuinely for the first time during the interview. "It's nice to meet you, Lily Chen. I live with my Aunt Sarah now, but I visit you every Saturday," Lily continued. "We always have tea and cookies, and you always ask about my week." "I'd like to keep doing that," Eleanor said. "Even if you don't remember last week's visit?" Lily asked. "Especially then," Eleanor replied. "That means every week gets to be special and new." Ellen felt the beauty of what was happening between them. "How does this feel, Lily?" "Different," Lily said. "But maybe different can still be good." Eleanor took Lily's hand. "I want you to know something, even if I don't remember everything else." "What?" "The way you make me feel when you visit, safe, happy, loved. That doesn't come from memory," Eleanor said. "That comes from who you are right now." Ellen made an announcement. "Eleanor, the Ellen Show would like to help connect you with resources for Alzheimer's patients and their families." "That would be wonderful," Eleanor said. "And Lily, we'd like to help you understand this disease and learn ways to connect with your grandmother as her condition changes." Lily looked at Eleanor with determination. "I want to learn everything I can." The episode aired 2 months later and generated an unprecedented response from families dealing with Alzheimer's disease. Viewers were moved not by a miracle cure, but by the demonstration that love can adapt to any circumstance. Eleanor and Lily continued their weekly visits, but with new honesty. Lily brought photo albums and told Eleanor stories about their shared past. Eleanor listened like she was hearing about strangers who happened to look like them, but she was genuinely interested in learning about the relationship they'd once shared. 6 months later, they returned to Ellen's show. Eleanor's condition had progressed, but her bond with Lily had somehow grown stronger. "How are things now?" Ellen asked. "Different, but better," Lily said. "I don't miss the old grandma anymore because I love the new one." Eleanor smiled. "I may not remember our past, but I'm making new memories with her every week." Ellen kept a photo from that follow-up show. Eleanor and Lily looking at a photo album together. Eleanor's face showing genuine curiosity about the strangers in the pictures who shared their faces. It reminded her that love doesn't require memory to be real. Because Eleanor learned that losing your mind doesn't mean losing your capacity to love. That honesty, even painful honesty, is better than beautiful lies. And that sometimes the most precious gift you can give someone is the chance to love you exactly as you are, not as you used to be. Lily learned that people can change completely and still be worth loving. That relationships can be rebuilt from scratch and somehow become even more meaningful. And that 12 years of love doesn't disappear just because one person can't remember it. It lives on in the person who does. Eleanor Williams forgot her granddaughter, but she never stopped being a grandmother. And in that continuing love, despite the absence of memory, both of them found something that might have been even more powerful than what they'd lost.